Hello and welcome back to my Hydra-based toy box for the final time. I've got Iron Man with me, and today I'm going to implement the logic for the castle interior, which will finish this toy box mission. But before I do that, I want to let you know what to expect in the coming weeks. I'll be back on Friday for the next episode in my Toy Story series, and then I'm going to take the next week off to enjoy the fall weather here where I live. But I'll be back on Halloween to do the playthrough for the next toy box in this series, in which Ultron raids the freighter Churchill to get the vibranium that Claw has stolen from Wakanda. It's a fun toy box designed specifically for the villain. And then after that, before I show you how to build that toy box, we're going to return to Disneyland and spend most of November playing through and building Adventureland. We'll return to my Age of Ultron series after that. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's finish up this toy box. And to save time, come into Spark mode here. I've already placed all of the creativitoys that I'm going to need, and I've set up most of their properties and locator connections. So let's review what I've got so far. And we'll start with the locator positions. And you can see where I've placed them here. I've got 3 locators out in this room. I've got 1 in each of these small jail cells, and I've got a couple over here in this room. And you can see where they are. And again, the locator placements doesn't really matter as long as they're in that room somewhere. These 2 do matter. You want to make sure those are in, there's 1 in each of those rooms. All right, and I've got a trigger area over here when you enter this doorway. And the player is going to start actually over on this locator here. If we come down to this locator, I have set the properties on this locator, so the door destination tag is 1. This is where the player will come when they enter this toy box. And then I've got another trigger area up here over Loki's scepter. In this room, over here, we have 2 enemy wave generators. This one is connected up to the 5 locators that are out here. So 3 in this room and the 2 that are over here. The other enemy wave generator is connected to the other 2 locators. The ones in each of the jail cells. And again, I've shown you this many times, but to connect those up, you're just doing a new locator connection and then selecting each of those locators. And then we have 2 logic gates here, a dual action trigger, an action enforcer, a sound effects generator, and 2 more logic gates over here. Okay, and that's all we need to finish off this mission. So we're going to begin. Actually, before we start connecting things, let me show you the properties on some of these. So this first enemy wave generator, if we look at the wave for this, I've got 5 elite Sakarans. And the properties on this enemy wave generator are set like you see here. And this enemy wave generator, the wave on this one is configured so I have 1 Rebuker, this is from the Force Awakens playset, and 1 large symbiote, this is from the Spider-Man playset. These are going to be my 2 big bad guys, the experiments that the Hydra researchers are working on. And they'll be going into those jail cells. And for the properties here, it's set the same way as the other one. And then the properties on the dynamic or the dual action trigger, auto reset is off. So those are the properties on everything. All right, so to kick things off, I'm going to do it when the player walks through this trigger area. I could have used a level starter, but in building and testing this, I wanted a way to enter this toy box and go over through this corridor and work on these toys without actually triggering the logic. So that's why I have a trigger area over here. So on the trigger area, we're going to do a new logic connection when entered by player any. And we're going to come over to our first enemy wave generator, and we're going to generate the wave. We're going to do the same thing for the other one. And generate that wave. Okay, and we only want to do this one time. So we're going to make one additional logic connection when entered by player any. Once again, I would love to be able to turn around and come back to itself and disable it, but I can't. So that's why we have this logic gate over here. So we're going to connect to this instead and do an input. And then on this logic gate, we'll do a new logic connection on output, come back over to our trigger area and deactivate it. So that way the enemy generation only happens one time. Okay. Now, what I want to have happen is I want some of these doors over in this room to be locked. And the way you do that is you can open up the logic menu for this room, go to the properties, and you'll notice you can actually lock and unlock each of these, but you have to do a little experimenting to figure out what property controls what door. So if we turn this first one on, what you might notice is if you look at the little jail cell towards the bottom of that room, you can see something flashing there as I turn this on and off. So this door A lock is changing this door to this room. So that's the door for door A. So under there, I definitely want that one on. Okay? And what that means then is what I want to do is I want to have both of these rooms locked, and I'll set this one in a moment. But we're going to do these one at a time. But when the player comes into this room, into the lab, and they defeat the first enemy, I want these doors to open and release the big nasty guys that are going to be in there. And so I've set this door property to be on for that door to be locked. And what that means is we got to come over to this enemy wave generator, and we'll do a new logic connection. When an enemy is defeated, okay, we're going to come over to this room, and we're going to unlock door A. So door A unlocked. That will open this door, so that when the first enemy is defeated, that door opens. And we're going to go ahead and go back to the properties, and let's look at some of these others, and I can't see it, so let me see if I can turn the camera here a little bit. Properties, it's going to want to turn that. And I can't see what that one is doing. Can't see what that one is. The okay, so the hallway that's entering this, that's on the right side of that room, that's what's being tweaked there. I don't know if you can see that on the video. Door D is the other cell. You can see that flashing there right under the right edge of this property window. So I definitely want that one on. So that's door D. So if we come over here to our enemy wave generator, we do a new logic connection when an enemy is defeated. I want to come back over here to this room, but I've already made a logic connection to this room, and so it's not going to let me do that. So that's why I have this logic gate here. So we're going to input into this gate. Okay? And on this gate then, new logic connection on output. We're going to come over here to our room, and we're going to unlock door D. So defeating an enemy will unlock both of these doors, and defeating subsequent enemies would do the same thing, but since the doors are already unlocked and opened, nothing will happen. So that logic works good. Okay, since this was door C, this other one must be door B. We'll get to that one in a moment. Now, opening those doors, all that does is just change the property on this room. I'd like there to be a sound effect. So we're going to come back over to this logic gate here. I'm going to do a new logic connection on output. We're going to come over to our sound effect generator. And underneath the general category, we're going to scroll down. And I'm looking for the jail cell open. Jail cell opening. That's the sound effect I want to play. And by the way, the properties on this are set with the 3D sound at speaker or locator turned off. Alright, so now we've opened those doors. We play a sound effect, and that's really good. Now the next thing we want to do is when all of the enemies are defeated, let me think here. There's actually one more thing I want to do. Yeah. Because I only want to do this once. So every time I defeat an enemy, that sound effect is going to go off. And so what we're going to do then is on this logic gate, we'll make one more connection, new logic connection on output. We're going to come over to this second logic gate and do an input. And on this logic gate, on output, we're going to turn around and close that logic gate. Okay? So that means subsequent enemies, when they come through here, will not play that sound effect. So the sound effect will only play one time, the first time those doors open. Alright, and then when all of the enemies are defeated, we want to open up door B over here. So let's come into the properties. If we come and turn on door B, you'll see that's the door that goes into the stairwell. So we're going to turn that on and lock that as well. So the only door that's unlocked is the one that leads into the room. And this is door C in my build. One of the things you'll notice if you're building this on your system, then the door assignments might be different. Door A might be different than this door. So that's why you have to kind of play with that and see which door is which. So door B over here is only going to be unlocked when all of the enemies are defeated. And so that's why we have the dual action trigger over here. So on this enemy wave generator, we're going to do a new logic connection. When the wave is defeated, that'll be input 1 into this dual action trigger. On this enemy wave generator, a new logic connection. When the wave is defeated, we're going to be input number 2 into the dual action trigger. And then when both inputs have been received, on the dual action trigger we do a new logic connection. When complete, we're going to come over here and open door B. So door B unlocked. And again, that's just a visual effect. So I want to play the sound effect so the player knows that's what happened. So on the dual action trigger, a new logic connection when complete. Come over here to the sound generator, and once again under general, we'll scroll down and look for that jail cell opening sound. And we play that. Okay, and that takes care of the lab room. So with the door open, then the player can go up the stairs and into this room. And when they enter this trigger area, that's when they found Loki's scepter and we complete the mission. So on this trigger area, we'll do a new logic connection. When entered by player Annie, First thing we'll do is come over here to our action enforcer. And we're going to have all the players celebrate, because they've completed the mission. And a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll play the sound effect that goes along with that. Which is my musical fanfare. That's what I always play when I finish a mission. And once again, I only want to do that one time. So on the trigger area, a new logic connection when entered by player any. We'll come over here to this logic gate and input. And on this logic gate, a new logic connection on output. We'll turn around and come back over here to our trigger area and deactivate it. And there we go. That is it for the logic in this room. So at this point, what you would do, what I would recommend doing, is probably saving it, testing it out, making sure it works. If it doesn't, you can exit the toy box, reload, come back in, make a few tweaks, make sure the logic all works the way you want. And then when you're all done, come over here and delete that room. And that closes this door and isolates all of these ugly creativity toys from the player so that they're no longer in the way. And the other thing you can do too is, because sometimes the enemy wave generators generate enemies that you can't destroy or defeat, and you try and your bullets and your punches don't make any effect. You could throw a target over here on the wall or something, another creativity toy, and connect that up to each of these enemy wave generators to defeat the waves. And that would be just kind of a way to bypass that and finish the mission if for some reason you're not able to defeat those enemies. But I'm not going to show you how to do that. So that's it for the castle interior. And with that, this toy box and the first mission in my Age of Ultron series is done. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this toy box and this series so far. If so, please leave a comment to let me know. I'd love to hear from you. As always, I've got logic diagrams on my blog for those of you who want to build this toy box on your own console or PC, so be sure to check those out. The link is in the video description. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, just click my photo in the lower right corner of this video. See you next time!